Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Very, very exciting day. This is Livicated, the fundraising live stream special. And today we have an amazing guest with us. We have Roger Steffens. And I know a lot of fans are already going to be on here in the comments. Please feel free to type in your questions in the comments. We want to get to them and talk to everybody on our live stream as best we can. My name is Eric Crown. I'm the director of Livicated, and it is a documentary that we've been working on for over 25 years. And the main reason is because that's how long it's taken to tell this story. And it's an incredible story. And we can't wait to share lots of little bits of behind the scenes and some other info about the movie as well. But what we wanted to do is actually start the live screen off today with a very special preview of the movie. And this is the first couple minutes that we wanted to share with everybody. So we're going to, let's see, let's put that there. Okay, here we go, everybody. And check it out. This is the first few minutes of Livicated. Then we'll come right back in and start talking.
There is a secret to music. We are vibrations ourselves. The physicists have uncovered that fact in our lifetimes. And what is the most moving vibration of all on this planet? Music. So if you know the secret of music, you can change a person physically, and you can certainly change a person spiritually. And that's what the Rasta musicians are onto. The idea that music is something that can be transformative, that can be used literally to unite the world. Back in 1994, a friend of mine walked the length of Zanzibar. And on May 11th, which is the anniversary of Bob Marley's passing, he came upon a remote mountain village with about 200 people living in it, and everybody was wearing this shirt. And he said, "My God, what does Kumbu Kumbu Ya Bob Marley mean?" And they said, "It means the second coming of Bob Marley." And he brought this shirt back for me. For me, reggae was a triple punch in the summer of 1973. I read an article in Rolling Stone by Michael Thomas called "Babylon on a Thin Wire" about the reggae culture in Jamaica. And it was some of the most ferocious and concentrated gonzo writing I'd ever seen in my life. Hunter Thompson Goes to Kingston kind of thing. And I'd never really consciously heard reggae before. And Michael Thomas said, reggae music crawls into your bloodstream like some vampire amoeba from the psychic rapids of Upper Niger consciousness. And I said, whoa, man, I don't know what this sounds like, but I got to find it. My life changed forever from that moment forward. And I wanted to find out everything I possibly could about reggae and all the things that that study leads you to. The entire culture surrounding it. This is a collection that started in 1973. It's grown like Topsy to fill 6 rooms of the house, floor to ceiling, with reggae and Rasta and all kinds of memorabilia.
The Roger Steffens Archives is the most incredible collection of reggae that exists on the earth.
Well, it's a valuable asset for reggae music because unfortunately, reggae music has never been archived to the extent that Roger has done it.
There is a constant stream of visitors to the archives from all over the world. Most of the major reggae figures have been through here too.
He has preserved one of the most important musical archives in the world and kept it from being scattered in every direction. And that's a critical job in every generation.
It's over 40 years or more that Roger has been carefully putting together all these items.
he has met and interviewed and really interacted with all the major players in Jamaican popular music over the last 20 odd years. He has been like the master historian. He has really pulled everything back together. And I think future generations will owe Roger a great debt of gratitude that he has really taken the time to do this.
How did you meet Roger?
So the singer would steal Paul's. Just, oh, hey man, if you want to know who, where the real fourth knocks of every, Bob Marley music is Roger Steffens. Roger Steffens. So he wrote down the name, and I called him, and it's glorious to meet a person who is so, if Bob Marley is Jesus, then Roger Steffens is Peter. Yeah, he's all the way in it.
And here's Ziggy Marley with the unreleased.
Here we go. So here we have the man himself, Mr. Roger Steffens. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, we're just getting a little technical thing here for some. There we go. Can you hear?
Try now.
There we go.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Okay. Oh, let's see.
That's weird.
Okay.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Okay. So, I don't know how. Okay. Happening. As we are able to hear you. Be right back. We're going to come back with Roger. We're just getting a few technical issues straightened out. I apologize to everybody watching. That's how it is when you do live. When you go live, it's sometimes get a couple complications here or there. So that was the first few minutes of Livicated. Now, for people that are joining us, let me just give you a little bit of a background on the movie. The movie started actually back in '98, and that started with a chance meeting with Earl Chinna Smith, who amazingly is in our documentary, and we'll talk a little bit about Chinna as well. And about 2 years later, after spending a lot of time trying to get the project together, nothing was really happening with it. I met Paul Madeleine, who became the producer of the project, and we were able to go over and meet Roger. And the idea originally was to sort of travel the world and see where reggae had traveled to. But soon we learned every time we met anybody in reggae, the first thing they said to me is, "Have you heard about Roger Steffens' Reggae Archive? Have you met Roger Steffens?" And so he became, somebody I knew we had to go meet. Well, after we went to his house for one day, let me tell you, we decided that we would change the movie. Instead of looking at how reggae had spread the world, we thought we would go to where the world goes to learn about reggae, and that's at Roger's Reggae Archive. Now, the Reggae Archive, when we started, it had about 300,000 items, and now has about 500,000 in the upwards, not counting. Now, it's in part of Roger's house. It's scattered around a few different warehouses. There's a massive storage issue and a longevity issue, because when you collect something so special and so unique, you have to make sure that it is preserved forever. And this is, as you heard in the testimonials in the beginning of the documentary, as well as what I can tell you for sure, is this is one of the most important musical collections that exists out there. And it's a musical collection that has had a hard time finding its home, because there's been a lot of different complications to getting it back to Jamaica. And Roger and I will talk about that in a minute or so here. And I just wanted to share with you quickly. This is Roger's archive. This is one of the many, many areas in the archive. This is just one of the wall of albums. And we'll have Roger talk a little bit more about that when he comes on with us. Let's see. I wonder if we. Yep. Okay,
I'm
let's
here.
see.
I should make a little amendation because this film has been shooting for 27 years now. There are now 7 rooms, floor to ceiling, not 6. And someone who saw some early copies of the film said the movie is a history of Roger Steffens' haircuts. I've aged since you started shooting. 7 rooms, floor to ceiling. And I don't know if I told you, I'm constantly getting input. And I'm about to receive all the raw footage from the Heartland reggae film that was made of the One Love Peace concert. Jim Lewis is sending it down next week with my associate curator of the archives, John Dubois, Dubois' Garage, my dear friend. He's going up to Vancouver to pick it up and load his car and bring it down to the archives. And that's 2 full concerts by Peter Tosh in Trelawney in 78 and footage of the actual One Love Peace concert. And he's giving it to me to preserve. And, it just touches me so deeply that people trust their things with me. I'm going to be 84 in a couple of weeks. Today is the 51st anniversary of my wedding to Mary Higgins. And my mother's maiden name was Higgins, so she's extra special to me. And maybe she'll walk in the background sometime in the next hour so people can say hello to Mary. Without her, this never would have happened. She's a woman of infinite patience.
That's true. Mary has always been. Every time we've gone over, she's always had something wonderful to hang out and talk to us. Always making some kind of goodies in the kitchen, and Mary keeps the archive feeling always like a home.
Oh yeah, and so many people come through. This month, I think we've got 11 different parties or people coming to see the archives. People come from all over the world. A couple of weeks ago, a man showed up in the middle of the afternoon and told me he was Marcus Garvey's grandnephew, and he wanted to see the archives. And we made an arrangement for him to come back. And a week from tomorrow, he's going to do a live tour of the archive for an hour at 5 o'clock California time. Yeah, 5 o'clock California time. That'll be on the internet. And you can learn more about that on the Livicated site or on the Family Acid, the photographic site that our daughter Kate has started many years ago to show all my pictures going back to Saigon in 1967. She called it the Family Acid, she said, because when she was growing up, her friends told her that our family was like the Waltons on acid. I think she's right. Mary and I met on an acid trip in a pygmy forest in Mendocino under a total eclipse of the moon and got married 10 days later on June 5th, 1975. So I think it's working.
Oh, I love Mary. Tell her we said hi if we don't get to see her during the show today. I know she likes to put herself in the background, but we did put her in the movie, so hopefully she's not mad at us for that. Well, that's the thing. I mean, this project has been such a big part of Paul and my life. To be able to continually come over and for you guys to always have your doors open to us. I mean, this is over 27 years you've had to deal with us knocking on the door and coming in and bringing cameras and asking questions and poking, prodding, and asking to listen to different things and everything. And that's what I think is one thing that people should definitely know about the archives is that, you open your door to people, and you open your door to visitors, like the guy that showed up that's going to be doing the live stream next week, which I can't wait to see. And I think that that's an amazing part. I know we've been over before, and there's just people that have decided to just drop by, reggae musicians and other people, always around there. And it's a force, it's a center of a lot of the reggae community.
Well, I didn't do this by myself. I had an awful lot of help from wonderful people. A lot of artists have given me things like demos to preserve. Toots Hibbert, when I was the national promotions director of Island Records in the early 80s, gave me 18 hours of his composing tapes with chickens and dogs and kids screaming in the background. And an early hurricane in the 80s blew the roof off his house and destroyed all his tapes. And he turned to me to get those 18 hours back into his life. And I felt so grateful that he was willing to be generous enough to let me have them in the first place and be able to return them to him. And that's been true all through the buildup here. People coming to visit. Muda Baruka came in 1982, and we've been very dear friends ever since. He's been a huge supporter. He doesn't understand why Jamaica never put a deal together. I guess we have to admit that the deal with Joe Bogdanovich was canceled last year. It's not general knowledge yet, but from this moment forward, it will be. And it looks like Jamaica has lost my archive. I've tried since 2001 when I had a meeting with the Institute of Jamaica, and they wanted to buy it and raise money from UNESCO, and found out that you can't use a UNESCO grant for something that's going to make money. And why shouldn't Jamaica make money off this? It's their culture. And put a museum up and watch the stream of people come from all over the world to pay homage to Jamaica's greatest export. Well, maybe second greatest export. And you've been following it step by step, all the major disappointments, people coming up, we're going to do it, and then find out that they're not going to do it. And that's been the pattern now well, the first people who tried to buy the archive was the Schomburg Center of the New York Public Library in Harlem. Howard Dodson, the director of it, came out when I left the reggae beat in 1987 because the music was getting so slack. And Dr. Dodson made me aware of the value to historians of ephemera. So these cabinets behind me here are filled with 30,000 flyers from all over the world. And I envision one of the rooms in the museum just completely covered, all the walls, even the ceiling, with all these flyers from every country you can imagine. That there's so many different exhibitions within the major collection, T-shirts and posters and buttons. A lot of people collect the handmade red, gold, and green reggae buttons, which I've always loved. And there's probably 3,000 buttons in the collection, and that would be a display all by itself. So, there's a lot of things here that people in Jamaica should treasure and perhaps don't. And it looks right now as if the collection is going to go to another country. Haven't signed any deal yet, but there's several interested people who've come recently to see the archives.
It's such a shame to hear about Bogdanovich's deal. For ever since we've known you, you've been working really hard to try to get the archives to Jamaica, and we've always been amazed at how Jamaica repels that, and they don't seem to really want it there. Can you kind of explain to the audience a little bit? Everybody would just imagine that they would definitely want it, and why isn't it already there?
Well, the Marleys want it, but they only want the Marley section. And I'm unwilling to take the most valuable part of it and separate it from all the other artists. I want people to remember Joe Higgs and Alton Ellis and Culture and all the great rock steady people. Joe came to me in 2017, early 18, and told me he would buy the archives. And Joe is a very interesting businessman. His grandfather owned Starkist Tuna, and when he died, he left his four grandsons, including Peter Bogdanovich, the Hollywood director who did Last Picture Show, quite a lot of money. And Joe bought the Sumfest Festival, and that's on the beach in Montego Bay. And next to it is a big plot of land owned by the government. And he was negotiating back in 2017 with the government for a 30-year lease on that property. And he planned to build my museum, our museum, next to the stadium. And they kept dangling the lease in front of him. And when it came time to sign the contracts, the terms that they had negotiated were never in the contracts. So for 7 years, he was waiting to lease the land, and the government would never give it to him. And he couldn't find any other land appropriate for the museum. And this is how Jaw works. The hurricane last October blew the stadium out to sea, every last board and nail. And my museum would have been next door, and my museum and my life's work would have been underwater today. So Jaw works in mysterious ways.
I know that there's the expression "everything in its season," and it's it sounds like the archives season is coming. It's such an amazing piece of work, and yeah, it deserves a permanent home. And I know you've been very obsessed with the concept of where can this permanent home happen. And Livicated follows you many years. We actually were able to get a couple of the people that were coming in to take a look at the archives and a few of the deals on video back then. And we do try to keep that in the movie chronicling. I mean, the movie, from 2001 until 2026 now, people will be able to see this whole story kind of unfolding. And so, there's been, on a personal level, the music is so powerful and so transformative. Like you talk about, I love that the first thing you say is there's a secret to music. And, that secret you gave to us early on, and it had a huge, tremendous influence in how I grew as a person and has shaped my life since going to the archives. And so, for us, we're like zealots, where it's so transformative and it's so powerful and it's so important that we want to make sure everybody sees it and everybody gets to experience it. And I know that it's going to be, it's definitely going to be finding its home. I can feel it, hopefully soon. Now, in the movie, we don't, we don't necessarily know much past Bogdanovich, but it is a disappointment that the Jamaican government just would not allow that deal to
They
happen.
know it is anti-governmental, anti-Babylonian music. And I think that's the real reason why it's never gotten any government support. I've had meetings with the Minister of Culture that ended up going nowhere. It makes sense to me why they don't want people to know too much about reggae music, because the message of reggae is anti-establishment, to say the least. It's revolutionary music. It's the soundtrack of the revolution. And we need that now more than we have ever needed it during our lifetimes. This is a time when we're watching the government of our country disintegrating all the norms of a constitutional democracy. It's tragic. And reggae music gives us hope. And it tells us that there is a much broader universe than the mere political one. And it does it in a poetic and beautiful way. Mary and I just spent a month in the British Isles, and Mary's maiden name was Higgins, and my mother's maiden name was Higgins. So we went tracing our ancestors, and we went to all 5 parts of the British Isles. And I wore this shirt everywhere with the cover of my oral history book. which Rolling Stone says might be the best Bob Marley book ever. It took me 43 years to research and 15 years to write. And I wore one of these shirts in different colors every day to attract Marley fans. And I would ask everybody, what's your favorite Marley song? And do you know that 80% of the people said the same song? What do you think it was?
I have to guess maybe Get Up, Stand Up?
Nope.
Exodus?
Nope. It surprised me too. Three Little Birds. Don't you worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right. And I found out when I got back to the States why that was so, because it's the theme song of the Chelsea soccer club, football club. And, every Sunday, tens of thousands of people in the stadium sing that song together. And it's also the theme song for the Dutch national team. So it's in their heads every week. Millions of people watch it on television, see the audience singing Three Little Birds. But it surprised me. That's not the first thing that comes to most people's minds in the past, or maybe only in the British Isles. But they all have a song that they love by Bob Marley. And this is 45 years since Bob passed. And he's still the biggest selling reggae artist every year. It's just incredible.
Now that it is, when you talk about the don't worry about a thing, it makes sense, because when you talk about music being vibration, if we have these messages that we're singing to ourselves, we're creating that vibration that blends into the harmony of the world around us and gives us something that it's not tangible, but you can feel it. And I think that, it's so important that these messages are out. And like you said, especially right now, it's crazy that we had one country when we started the movie, and, we're now, the movie's about to meet the world, and we live in a very different country. But ultimately, I'm, always an optimist that things can get back to where they come to. And one of the ways maybe we can have that is more people listen to Bob Marley, which,
yeah,
like you always said, listening to Bob Marley makes you want to be the best version of yourself possible, and I found that to be the case. And I think I know we have a lot of other big Bob Marley fans on the show today as well. And I just wanted to, Sven, by the way, it said happy anniversary to you. And here we also have on is our good friend, Kalsa Pillay, who says, I've been searching, asking around, but never got real answers for decades about the legendary 2 concerts at the Lyceum Theater of the legendary legends Bob Marley and the Wailers. Were these 2 concerts filmed, officially or by any in the audience, filmed footage taken or about? If yes, that'll be so great to hear. That's true, and I'll be very happy looking forward to seeing it all one day. Do you know anything about that one?
I have never seen any footage from the Lyceum. Those were incredible concerts. Thank God they were recorded. And the live version of what was the one that was released? I'm going blank this morning. The single was one of the biggest singles in British history, with the audience singing along. And that was the genius of Chris Blackwell. He saw Bob at the Roxy here in LA and heard the audience responding, and he knew that was something that was going to be at every concert that Bob ever did, with those sing-alongs, and it was just mind-blowingly good. And Chris has a lot of people criticize Chris Blackwell, but he's the man who gave Bob to the world. And I appreciate him for that.
And as we're talking about Bob, it's actually perfect for us to talk a little bit about your time with Bob. For the fundraiser, you have donated a couple of amazing things that as perks that everybody can get. And I want everybody to know we have 2 more days of fundraising. So if you haven't grabbed your perk yet, go through it. We're going to go through a couple of them today. And we have perks from $25 all the way up to a couple $1,000s, just depending on where you are, what you want, how you want to get involved. But the importance of it is community. Reggae has always been community powered. And, so far we have found this movie, the community has stepped up behind us and really been supportive. We hit our original goal of 20,000. We already hit our fundraising goal. And now we're in the stretch goal of trying to get to 30,000. So if anybody out there wants to help us, the more we can raise, the idea is to get the movie to get the movie to play everywhere in the world that reggae is heard, because this story is very specific and very universal in its meaning. And so one of the perks I wanted to share is called the Culture Circle. Now, the reason I bring this perk up is because it has an exclusive Bob Marley T-shirt, and the T-shirt is going to feature the picture called the Rasta Thinker. Now, I've kind of jumped in a little bit to this, but what I wanted to talk about is your Bob Marley. How did this photo come about? What was it like being next to this legend?
Oh, it was breathtaking. That was I had met him the previous year in Santa Cruz very briefly backstage, but this was the first day that I was invited to go on the road with Bob Marley. We had just started the reggae beat, Hank Holmes and myself, and we were on the air for about 7 weeks when the publicist for Island Records called us up and said, "Would you mind going on the road for 2 weeks with Bob Marley?" No, I didn't. So that was the first day. We met at the Sunset Marquis Hotel and got on the bus with Bob and drove to San Diego to do his show there that night. And Bob, you can see in the pictures that line between his eyes, that pain that he was in constantly. At this point, he'd had the cancer for 2.5 years, and he was exhausted. And they didn't want to do one-on-one interviews anymore because it just took so much out of him. So they had a press conference before the show in San Diego, behind the bleachers in the dressing room, and it was about 20, maybe 20 people, most of whom didn't know jack about Bob Marley, and they were asking a lot of, frivolous questions. But Hank and I were deeply into the music and Bob's career. And Hank had some antipathy toward the 12 Tribes organization that Bob was part of. And he started questioning him about that. And it got really animated. And then he had Tyrone Downey answer some of the questions for him, too. And so he realized that Hank and I actually knew what we were talking about. And we were the only people in LA giving him any airplay in one of the biggest cities in the world. And we hit it off, and we got to do a lot of private things with Bob, and we became friends. He was in town for about a week, and I was able to set up 2 evenings at the hotel where he had rented what they called the bungalow, which was like, I think, a 3-story building, and there were 2 films about Bob being edited in LA at that time. One was Jim Lewis and Randy Torno's Heartland Reggae with the peace concert footage. And the other was his American publicist in the mid-'70s, the great Jeff Walker, and his wife, Kim Gottlieb, the photographer, who took some of the most memorable pictures of Bob. And so on Monday night and Tuesday night, when he was free, we showed both films. And on Tuesday night, when we showed him the peace concert, with that great scene where he unites Manley and Siaga, the 2 mortal enemies, and holds their hands aloft in a benediction to Rastafari, I was watching Bob watch that. And afterwards, he was asked, what was going through your mind standing between these two men in whose names so many hundreds, maybe thousands of people had been killed in the gang warfare? And Bob said, well, I'm no politician, but if I'm a politician, only one thing for me to do, kill them both. Peace and love, huh, Bob?
That's such an amazing. I mean, what an amazing experience. You know, we were just showing some of the black and whites that you took. About how many pictures were you able to get?
Well, I was a poor actor at that time, and I was on assignment for a new magazine called the LA Weekly. And I had a couple of rolls of black and white and one roll of color, which was all I could afford. And to my everlasting regret, with all the time I spent with Bob during that period, I could have had, hundreds of pictures. But I treasure every one of the few pictures I was able to take. You can't change the past. You have to be thankful for what you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that you had that time with him, and the imagery that you've made for us to have forever is going to always tell the story. And I love this particular shot here with him reading the reggae news.
Yeah.
Now, was that backstage, or was that
That was on the bus.
on the bus?
On the bus. We were told by Don Taylor, under no circumstances must we talk to Bob Marley on the trip to San Diego. So he comes down the aisle and he sits one seat behind us on the opposite row, so almost, touchable. And I'm not allowed to say anything to him. And it was driving me nuts. And that whole time I was carrying around a bag of all my Bob Marley records. And so I'm on the aisle on the left and he's on the aisle on the right, one seat back. So I put the bag on my lap and I start pulling the records out. And he taps me on the shoulder and he waggles his finger and he says, let me see that. So I pass him over the bag of records. And what an idiot I was. I should have just handed him a pen and even not say anything and get them all signed. And that didn't happen. And there was hardly ever a time during that almost 2-week period where he was left alone. And I didn't want to be one of those people. Oh, Bob, take my picture. Let me have a picture with you. Bob, sign this. I just felt so lucky to be with him, and I didn't want to bug him in any way. And he let us come to sound checks, and I got some color slides at the sound check at the Roxy, his last show ever in LA. They're not particularly good, but those black and whites, I'm really proud of those. The one that has been bootlegged all over the world. Can you see me? This one, yeah, this shot. That's been called one of the top 5 Bob Marley pictures, and I'm very proud of that one. I normally never shoot black and white, but it really it gives a more historic feel, I think, to an image, especially of Bob, the most photographed rock star I think ever. Oh, Juliana Molia, thank you very much for that nice remark.
Thank you for the precious work. Loved all around the world of reggae music. Let's see now. Sven had also mentioned happy anniversary to you before. I have almost 500 Wailers, Bob Marley Wailers singles now. Amongst them are many of No Woman, No Cry, but always the live version, except one German promo 4-track single in a poster bag with the LP version of No Woman, No Cry. Does Roger know if there are any other single with the LP version?
Not offhand, but speaking of Germany, a dear friend of ours, Werner Kasnath, has devoted his life to a study of all the pressings of all the Bob Marley and Wailers records. And it built on the book that 20 years ago, Leroy Pearson and I did the definitive discography of the Wailers with a beautiful color section of all the labels up to that time. And that's still available, that book. And he has almost, you ready for it? 7,000 pages of information about Bob Marley's singles. So I think he's got an internet presence, Werner Kajnath, and you could talk to him now. He's my guide now. I mean, everybody builds on everybody else's work, and I love that about reggae. And most of the people who've done books are anxious to share what they have and help other people who are on the same trail. A lot of there have been over 80 books written by people who've come here to do their research. And it started with Timothy White and Stephen Davis back in 1982, both of whom said they couldn't do their books without access to the archives of the reggae beat. And at that point, the real archive was Hank Holmes. When Hank and I were traveling with Bob in '79, Hank already had 8,000 reggae records. We tell the story in the introduction to the discography book of how he was able to do that for almost nothing. It's an incredible story. And I just, if you know somebody who loves Bob Marley, you know instantly that you've got 20 things in common with them. And that's one of the joys of being part of the reggae world. And I salute everybody watching here today. And thank you for sharing your time with me and how grateful I am to the world of reggae, because this is not a solo work. This is an organized work that represents people from dozens of countries who've made contributions and shared information. And I just love being part of the reggae world.
And this beautiful picture, I just love seeing these. And I do want to mention to everybody that if you also wanted to be able to get one of these extremely rare photographs, actually signed by Roger, we do have the collector image, and that includes everything up to that level, but it includes a high quality frameable version that'll be specially signed, so it will become its own collectible. And
yeah, I've never done anything like that before. This is the only time that's happened, so they really should be collectible.
Yeah, I was going to say this. So this is the only time they've ever been available.
Right.
Thank you for allowing us to have these, to try to do this fundraising. You know, like I said, we're really trying to do this final push to get over and get this distribution as strong as we can. And you know, we have so many interesting collectibles, I think, and rarities from you. And I wanted to actually talk about our next one, which now we have another level here called the Ganja Hero. Now this is another level, and the picture there is our friend Earl Chinna Smith, who's in the movie, and that's actually a frame from the movie that everybody will get to see. And his interviews is amazing. But one thing that you get on this level that you don't get anywhere else is a copy of the Beat magazine. Now the Beat magazine, we're going to talk about that for a second, but the Beat magazine is something that a lot of people have been asking us about. And if maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the Beat and why these magazines are now collectible.
Well, yeah, no, the Reggae Beat show led to so many different things that made international impacts. At Sunsplash 81, I met a woman named Cece Smith, and she came to the radio show when we got back to LA, and she says, "You need somebody to have some discipline around here, and it's too anarchic. You don't even have anybody answering your phone." So she came every Sunday and answered the phone, and we were begging people to tell us anything that was happening regarding reggae in LA. I remember listening back recently to some of the first episodes that started on the 7th of October, 79. And we're saying, if you're having a party in your backyard playing reggae music, let us know and we'll tell people about it. There was nothing going on for reggae in LA at the time. And within a couple of years, there started to be some regular shows. And we wanted to tip people off in advance so they could get tickets and we could support the promoters crazy enough to bring reggae artists up. And so CC said, why don't I start a newsletter? And I said, oh, sure, start a newsletter, CC. And the first issue was a 14-inch Mimeo, double-sided Mimeo, one page. And then the second issue, we folded it in half and it was like, I don't know, a dozen pages. And Hank wrote about Rastafari and we published our playlists in it. And the first year it was just a mimeograph. And at the end of the first year, we turned it into a magazine on newsprint paper. And I think by the third year, we got a color glossy cover. And the fourth year, we were all glossy magazine. And Tower Records started to carry it and distribute 3,000 copies all over the world, from Buenos Aires to Tokyo. And we were getting fan mail in Urdu and Swahili. And the Beat magazine did an annual Bob Marley issue every May that I edited. And we did 28 years of those issues. And in 2009, when the internet really took over and killed a whole heap of print magazines, we died. But there are 168 different copies of the Beat magazine, and it's all thanks to CC Smith, who devoted her life to that. And then other things came as a result of that. In 1980, I was approached by a Trinidadian drummer named Chili Charles, who had started a cable TV show called LA Reggae, and he asked me to be the host. And that went on for 23 years with all kinds of different cable systems that kept getting eaten up by bigger cable systems. And in 1984, I was asked to show some of my unreleased footage of Bob Marley at the National Video Festival, and that led to people around the country asking me to come and do that same show. I didn't even know it was a show at the time, and that started the life of Bob Marley. And in 1988, I spoke, I think it was the Ritz in New York. Larry Gold, the wonderful man who founded SOBs in New York, brought me there. And I was the opening act for Burning Spear. I did an hour-long presentation of unreleased footage and told stories about Bob. And he said, after the show, he says, I want to bring you to New York on Bob Marley's birthday every year, as long as you can come up with an all-new show each year. So that was my challenge. And I did 16 different years, never missed a beat from 88 to 2004. And Larry, if you're watching, thank you, mate. That was really wonderful. And I've done the show, all over the world, in a 12th century palace in Poland, and in the bottom of the Grand Canyon for the Havasupai Indians, who believe Bob Marley is the reincarnation of Chief Red Cloud returned to Earth as a black man to lead the Indian nations to their new freedom. I've done it in the outback of Australia, where the Aboriginal people practically worship him, and the Maori people in New Zealand. It's brought me to so many wonderful, wonderful people who share my love for the music, and I'm so grateful, and I'm grateful to you and Paul more than words can tell, Eric. The devotion you've had to an often frustrating project is remarkable, and hopefully we'll have a happy ending to the film someday.
It's definitely been worth it because it's one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. And I've been lucky that it's extended so long. I know I always joke to you guys that there really is no movie. We just keep telling you there is so we can keep coming back to the archive and visit. But I promise there is a movie. Okay, actually, I want to share a little bit more with everybody. So without much further ado, I wanted to share a scene with Mary. And I also wanted to show a little bit of LA reggae so people can get an idea.
There is something so important about a record, about a piece of music that you love that you can hold in your hand. When you lose the tactility of music,
We're not getting sound.
your respect for it and your value of it goes down to almost nothing. These are CDs of all the master tapes of Sunsplash, all annotated.
We're not getting sound.
7 years, the really golden years of Sunsplash.
Oh my God.
But this is priceless. You know, the people who run Sunsplash don't even have these tapes. But as you can see, it has grown so much since we started filming. It's really more than doubled in size since we started filming. And now it's just boxes upon boxes. And now I can't even get access to my old rock and roll records because it's all these wonderful photographs and more photographs and more photographs. Well, we burst out of the house and now we have to use the garage, much to my wife's chagrin. Reggae. These are old volumes of the Beat magazine, which were going to be thrown away when the magazine closed, and I couldn't let that happen.
Any comment, Mary, on the garage?
Any comments?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if the things that were in the garage had a home?
Yeah, that's true.
So bad. Because I have so many more things that I could move in there, like a car.
Oh yeah, by the way.
Okay, there we go. I just wanted to bring everybody back. Okay, so we wanted to share that. I know some people had an issue with sound. I know that some others were able to hear it. So if anybody wasn't able to hear it, let us know, and we'll make sure that we can get the clip available because it is just a wonderful. It's always nice to see Mary there. Now, okay, and then Amy Bass says Steve Sato and Amy Bass in Chicago sending our to you and Mary. Yeah, man.
Back at you.
Here we go. And Rose Petgrave says amazingly.
Hi, Rose. Hi, Paul.
Oh, good. On. Okay.
I couldn't hear anything on that last clip, but that's all right. It kind of spoke for itself, I think.
Now, what I'd like to do is share a quick interview that was done in LA Reggae and give people an idea of, you know, you didn't just, I don't want to say just collect because it's such a huge task already, but you were able to obtain albums, board tapes, a lot of other things, but you also create a lot of interviews that make the fabric of the history of reggae. Because without those interviews, we wouldn't know what people were thinking. And there aren't a lot of those interviews for us to have, especially from our roots heroes. So I think it's really incredibly important. And we go into the movie, and in the movie, you're going to see a bunch of really amazing footage that's very rare from LA Reggae. But we wanted to share with you right now, the Wailers visit your place.
Yeah. I want to ask you all one final question. I want to ask the same question to all of you now, and that is, what piece of music that you are involved in as Wailers is your single favorite piece? It might be something that you played your favorite lick on, or just an all-around fantastic song that you're part of. What's your favorite
My
piece?
favorite is War. The words are written by Haile Selassie. And that's the message to mankind right now. That's the best song Bob ever do. Best song.
Who gave you the line, or did you do the line yourself in Waiting in Vain?
Waiting in Vain came to me in a dream. I heard the track and then I tried it once and I said, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I went home, I slept, came back and did it in the first take.
You created a whole style of reggae drumming that people are still making careers out of your throwaway licks. What's your favorite piece of music? Come over here in the light a second, Carly. Tell me what your favorite piece of music is.
Forever loving Jah.
Why?
Because we have to.
Forever loving Jah from the uprising. I can't wait to hear what Family Man says.
Well, yes. Well, I've got a wide range, you know. Well, number one is, I'll let you know, is so much things to say. And guiltiness rests on their conscience every day. I also get up, stand up. Oh, you're right.
Refresh.
Can you hear me? You can hear me. I can't hear you. That was an interview I did with Carly just before he was murdered. And I was asking each of the Wailers what their favorite song they ever played with Bob on. And Carly said, Forever Loving Jah. And I said, why? And Carly says, because we have to. And a few weeks later, he was killed. So there's a lot of historic footage among the LA reggae shows, so 23 years of them. And it's just a sample of what you'll see in the archive itself. And it's too bad because right now it looks like Jamaica is going to lose the archive. Joe canceled the deal on March 22nd last year, and it's not generally known, so this is kind of the first public information about that. And a week from tomorrow, there's going to be a live show on the internet on TikTok with the grandnephew of Marcus Garvey talking about Jamaica losing the archive and putting out a plea for some of the artists in Jamaica to pool their money and make sure that Jamaica doesn't lose the archive. Although I have very mixed feelings about that. I wonder about the safety of the collection. I don't want things lost after all the 53 years of my putting it all together. So thank you for all that you and Paul and others have done to call attention to this work. And my gratitude toward you guys is endless. And thanks to everybody watching this morning or this evening, wherever you are around the world. And one love to all of you. Bob lives, Rastafari.
Wonderful. All right, let's see now. We have another comment coming in. Eric, greetings and respect from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Very happy anniversary. And Eric. Hey, Eric.
Oh, asking about the reggae beat. Yes, if you download kcrw.org, there is a site on it called Vintage 24, and very soon at noon, Sunday afternoon, California time, they're going to rebroadcast the entire 393 episodes of Hank and me doing the reggae beat in chronological order. And you will see how reggae was born and turned LA into the biggest reggae city on earth in the mid 80s. Yeah, Vintage 24. Thanks to Alejandro Cohen for doing that.
So sad to see the Marley family out by the archive. It's a challenge. I know that And
I can't hear you, Eric.
one second. Oh, there we go. That's what you go. You just never know what's going to happen. So, Roger, back with us in just a few minutes. Go ahead and there is a show here. She's a concert where he makes sense. Now, one thing that surprised me is Scout and in fact, so
Let me see if he's still on. Roger?
Yeah.
Are you still on?
Yeah.
Will you call Dara after?
Yeah.
Here, you're allowed
Get her number.
the tiers before. So, you know, you can, if you get the $500 package, you're going to get a signed Bob Marley picture. You're going to get a signed Beat magazine. You're going to get a signed print. You're going to get a signed LA Reggae. So,
what?
Pick up the phone. She's trying to help with the audio.
And,
Hi, Dara.
Hi, Roger. So you can't hear Eric at all, is that right?
Right.
Have you been able?
okay, there we go. Sorry about any sound there. We're trying to get that back running. So let me go over another perk with everybody because I wanted to talk a little bit more about the movie and about the perks. And again, you know, we really appreciate everybody that has contributed and everybody that's going to contribute.
You check to make sure everything is still.
We only have another 48 hours left on the fundraiser. So if any of these perks sound grab,
And it's just about to end anyway. Can I call you back?
No problem. No problem.
a super fan. Because you're getting the sign, getting the signed book of reggae, signed deck, signed there, and reggae is put together. It actually has a lot of his in there, and what happened was in 2000. As was and images and photos. Now, so the event was only held for a limited amount of time. I wanted to share a small clip with everybody that the movie. Now, this is not the movie. I'm going to share right now with you that you can. Roger, and what we're doing is show the tour there. This is set up. Show. That as so we're just going to play fast and I want to share and this is.
So we are here in curatorial assistance in Pasadena, Old Town. And this is the firm that designed my Queen Mary exhibition. And we have rehung in 2012 the main market pieces to it. along with some spectacular banners that were presents from Carlos Santana. There's 3 of them on the walls, in addition to a wonderful Jimmy Cliff banner 30 years ago in the grill, hand-painted banner, and then a sampling of the other artists who were featured in the Queen Mary exhibition, and then the continuation of the Marleys, and a little bit of Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. Roger Harvey, who is a famous keyboardist, now a member of Inner Circle, the Bad Boys band, says, I played keyboards on all tracks on this album, but didn't get any credit. Touter. And this is signed by almost everybody on the album, including Neville Garrick, the art director. The original version that Neville Garrick painted for the Confrontation posthumous album in 1983 had the Pope's crown on the dragon's head, but the record company made him paint that off. And that was the second version, and this is the final version that was used on the album itself. And this is very special because everybody who plays on this album has signed this cover. Obviously not Bob, because it's posthumous. Neville Garrick, the artist, and all the musicians and all the I3. In late 1979, I had just started the Reggae Beat with Hank Holmes, and we were invited to go on tour with Bob for the Survival Tour. And the Jamaican pressings of the Survival album came in red, gold, and green vinyl, and they're extremely rare. And I'm about to go on tour in January and February of 2013 as the opening act for the Wailers as they reproduce the entire Survival album live.
That was 2013. So it has been a long journey for this as well. So we have been having a few issues with our sound. So it's okay because we're reaching the end of our show right now. We've wanted to just kind of tell. We had a few more stories that I was hoping that Roger was going to be able to tell, including this shirt. But we're going to have to get back to that at some point. And if you see the movie, you'll understand the shirt. So I'm going to bring Roger back on, and here we're going to go ahead and
Okay, I'm presuming that you can hear. Can you hear me? Okay, yes. I can't hear a thing, and I didn't touch anything, so it's tricknology, as Peter Tosh said. My dearest wish has always been that the archives go to Jamaica. It's the history of that wonderful country, and the people in charge don't really seem to see it the same way as I do, and that millions of people around the world do. So wherever it ends up, it will be kept intact, and it will be made available in every possible way to the public, especially to researchers in the future. It's Jamaica's deepest history, and it belongs somewhere. Can Roger tell us the story behind Peter's straight to Ragjaw Rabbit Head? Well, the folks that run VP Records were mad at me, and I'm not sure why. And so Roger Rabbit and my reggae nickname, Ras Roja, combined on a single. In fact, I'll show it to you.
Even after 30 years ago,
oh. Yeah, it's the flip side of the Impact You Can't Fool Me Again single by Peter Tosh, and straight to Ragjaw Rabbit's Head. I wonder why it's reversed there. Anyway, I always kid the folks from VP about that. I got my name on a record. Wow.
And has
yes,
the single.
Ben. Good. Hang on to that. It's a collector's item.
It's a great
Oh, I
story.
wish I could hear you.
I know. Well, Roger, thank you for being with us.
I'm going to
it's
have
great.
to take lip reading instructions. Yeah. Time to wrap it up. Okay. One love to all Bob Marley and reggae fans around the world, and hopefully someday we'll all meet together in the lobby of the Museum of Reggae History on whatever continent it ends up. My thanks to all of you. One love.
Right, that was Steph. Thank you so much Roger, for being here with us. We really wanted to have the time to be able to talk to it, and unfortunately, we had technical issues. So I think maybe we're just going to have to do another live. What does everybody think? I could interview Roger for hours. I've been interviewing him for years, and like I said, there's still always things I want to know and things that I want to learn more about. So every time with Roger is always amazing experience. Thank you, Eric. We really appreciate it. One love. Thank you for the support, and Rose, thank you. One love as well, and thank you, Rose, and thank you for being here on the show today with us. And of course, Kalsa, thank you so much. Everybody stay blessed. There is such a kindness in the reggae community and the warmth of the reggae community and the way that the music works and the people that are surrounded and that are attracted to it is always so much kindness and so much positivity. So thank you all for being here today and making it a super positive day for us. Having you here made the show. And that was one of the biggest aspects. We wanted to go live. So even though we had some technical issues, it's always better because we can talk in person and we can talk live. And okay, Amy says, yes, please do it again. We definitely will. There's Sierra, our producer. Thank you, Sierra, the podcast producer. Thank you for everyone for joining us today and sticking with us through the technical difficulties. We may need to do another live stream. I think so. One love to all. Absolutely. So thanks everybody for being here. Remember, we have 48 hours left. If you were fascinated by any of the perks you saw, you can go onto our website and let's see, let me share this with you guys. So you can go onto our website. Let's go the other way. There we go. And once you're on there, you can go to the fundraiser, click the fundraiser, and then you have all the different links of the different levels that you need, and it'll tell you what it is. Personalized signed World of Reggae book, one copy of the Beat magazine. So it has all this, and then when it's all said and done, we also have a Root supporter wall, and we wanted to say thank you to all of our supporters here. And there's Kalsa, one of our associate producer. We've got Reggae super fans, and we want to say thank you to everybody: the collectors, the inner circle, the culture circle, the insiders, the movie buffs, and the access pass people. Everybody is making a difference. Everybody is getting this movie so that it can go out and be around the world and tell this really important story. It's not a movie about reggae. It's not your standard documentary about the birth of reggae, the generation of reggae. It's a movie about reggae's fragility in the modern times, in its fight to survive, and its absolute strength to hold its ground all this time. And the one man that's been pushing this forward the whole time, Mr. Roger Steffens. So thank you everybody for joining Roger and I today. And we'll definitely be setting up another one. And you got it, Rose. We're going to do it again. So thanks everybody. French Paul says preservation. Absolutely. So thank you guys again for being with us. And if you have any other questions or you have any, you're not going to make the deadline, but you still want to get at one of the tiers or one of the perks, reach out to us, send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere you want, and we'll get right back to you. And as Paul says, music is a weapon. And so that's one of the reasons why we have wanted to stay and help fight this fight about the fight, to keep this music alive, going, and to keep the stories going too. So, all right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you soon. One love.